from the armpit to enter the ring. There's a look at the Beijing and be a part of the Olympics that helped account for the fact that Perez didn't start boxing. Closer look at Perez.
Calmness, great opportunity to have success.
That I wanted to bring Max Kellerman in.
As an amateur,
He's one of the sport's fastest rising stars, but promotional and management issues led to an aborted fight with Brandon Rios, a subsequent long layoff, eventually a union with boxing's newest big-name promoter, music artist 50 Cent. We spoke to Gamboa about his future with the new promoter.
Despair to be outside of the ring and not knowing when I was going to return to the ring. First of all, the promoters wanted to do a fight, but they weren't able to put that fight together.
And just at the moment when
Pedro Dururama, Colombia. New victory champion, damas y caballeros, el ciclón de Guantánamo, Yuriorkis Gamboa.
both foot speed as to why he is pure counterpunchers in the middle range. There aren't a better fighter than the other guys because I won't be doing only one thing. Even though he's been
then ring side for him.
In a way that the other two Cubans
See a kind of typical feel out.
You saw Darleys Perez in the fight, which
That this is a guy.
by the event. He's been in the first minute of the fight.
This is Perez's round. He's controlled it.
And down he goes.
Boy, he lands a glancing left and missed the right angle. And I think that the feet may have been tangled up. It's hard to tell. No tangle.
In the first round, Gamboa out through Perez 40-20. Landed it at a lower connect percent.
Let's see if that knockdown causes Perez to change.
Has usually been vulnerable when he take him out. That's when he tends to square up, as they say.
That left hook has something to do with that.
Build up to the fight. And watching promos here on HBO and for weeks until Perez ago. Yes, on the end. Years of his career as Darleys Perez, when in fact it's Darleys. His promoter Gary Shaw came into fighter meeting yesterday before Darleys arrived and said, "Oh no, it's Darley. He doesn't need that us. He doesn't even care." I said, "What's your name?" He said.
Gamboa starting to get into a rhythm right now, starting to feel good.
Make a mistake to.
Right hand lands for Perez.
He kind of puts it out there, really looking to land the bit in the jab.
Up into the air. Gamboa does with his hand feints. Quick left hook for Gamboa.
I think it's to distract his opponent. We see him fight.
Yuriorkis Gamboa, of course, was coached by a variety of coaches, but for the other training like that.
The left hook got Gamboa's attention.
3 rounds so far.
Gamboa likes to fight harder when he gets hurt.
On the other is when he gets hit.
Well, if we're going to buy a ticket to see him, the best chance to win all of his.
Now, it's best to be able to totally elevate it. Mayweather is really capable in that style.
Perez got in his sneaky left hook again, or was that a...
But just to touch on the point about Gamboa, good right hand from Gamboa right. He'll never get to that place. Does he want to be a shooting
Fixture?
This is the pro game. Totally different business.
Yeah.
Gamboa, of course, as he's able to double and triple up inside.
Necessarily that Gamboa.
Why is he getting?
Steve Weiss. And Steve, how do you have it unofficially through?
30-20 the premise. It's a 10-8 round because of the knockdown. And then you have to ask yourself, but for the knockdown, Perez win the round back to 10-9? No, I think it was Gamboa was busier. So after 3 rounds, I have Gamboa up by 4.
So far against an undefeated fighter with a good amateur pedigree and punching power and boxing skill in the business. This and increases his dominance round over round, which may be happening. That makes a big difference.
Hard right hand by Gamboa. He landed a clean chopping right hand earlier. Perez shook his head as if to say, no, I'm not bothered by that. This was a bigger shot followed by that attempt by Ford.
And I think Darleys was also upset that he was hit while he was down.
Well, Perez is hurt earlier, Max. When he's got his opponent hurt, he tends to leave himself on to be more mindful.
Maybe better for Gamboa.
Perez took a shot right there again.
Andre is talking about, and what Max mentioned earlier, happened in Gamboa's last fight on the undercard of Pacquiao, knockdown in the 9th round by hit with a straight left hand.
There's a strange thing going on in his career. He's got the amateur back, always pull and use at a particular time, and that's what he's got to work on.
The anti-on tools of a complete fighter, but gets caught in transition in between. to let happen in this fight.
Good left hook by Perez as
Stevenson's punch to watch.
The faster, good shot right there. Faster of foot and faster of hand. Gamboa coming in like that.
Tap with the jab. They don't really open you up with it. They just use it as
It all depends on how. I think it's a good. I think
offensively as much as if he threw a more meaningful jab.
that may be the case, but he's not a Joe Frazier type of guy. And if you look at him, good combo opponents, and he's normally the shorter armed opponent. So he likes to be mid-range.
Cyclone of Guantanamo. I mean, that was the guy who was everyone, and you see flashes of it here as he fights more
anymore. It's more action.
Funny, but if he playing a strategy in the fighter meeting yesterday, or does he just go in there and just...
He was Iowa opponent a couple of years ago. Fight in a way that makes people want to see him fight a guy so far, just not a...
Isn't there something much natural talent?
Yeah, I mean, with all the talent that he has, he keeps getting touched with that hook on the way out. He's got to keep his right hand up. And just seeing what happens.
But he hasn't really forward earlier and get more...
Now, all this said now, and just the level he's going to be at. James, I think it may be barely.
Maybe shook him up. Kind of a good fighter.
Perez could find a way to make a right hand go with the
Succeeding more of his heavy artillery.
Or he landed the more punches and the harder punches in round 4 by 3 points.
Scores are evening reflective of the official cards. That knockdown at the end of round 1 looms very big because Perez had won that round or booing.
Yeah, and he
Thought that was very good advice in Perez's corner. The pressure's on Gamboa. He's the one more likely to get sloppy as a result of boos. Touched Gamboa here.
as Jim mentioned earlier,
If he can turn that left hook from an arm punch into a real power punch, he's got something. Hasn't quite happened yet.
Perez being he can set those shots up a lot easier. But where's the game plan? What did you come? How are you going to get to that victory?
The southpaw by Gamboa.
He has been, I'm better than the other guy.
These are the kind of fights where Gamboa has to go from being a good fighter with potential to an elite fighter. And that difference is making adjustments during the course of...
He gets those fights and wins class level.
Adrian Broner has moved up all the way to 147. So now Gamboa has to look around. There's an emerging star named Terrence Crawford. He's not quite there yet.
But an elite fighter without fighting any other elite fighters. So just...
We're taking more of a wait-and-see look.
Inactivity mostly. And when you rise in weight class, people need to see you beat fighters of quality.
The first time that Gamboa is fighting a real 135-pounder at this level. We're seeing Perez take the shots of Gamboa pretty well, even though Gamboa hurt him early in the fight.
And Perez has some quality you can see, but world-class fighter in terms of who he's beaten.
Yeah, this is Perez's biggest step up, and so far...
Perez getting more and more confident, it seems to me, with each passing round. Gamboa to come in. Doing a better job of timing Gamboa's assaults. And...
These great exchanges in the middle of the ring.
No good.
The right hand by Perez. Left.
Perez making up. Good.
Sizzling combination there for him since then.
I think part of it is Perez and part of it is withstanding Gamboa and fighting back. But it's almost like Gamboa is his own worst enemy sometimes mentally, where, like I said, he loses focus and loses interest. So therefore, he loses his... Nice job right now.
Hard right hand by Perez. He's watched the 96-mile-an-hour fastball long enough.
2s and 3s.
And maybe, Jim, that answers early, but if he can start to time it, he's got to come.
Was slightly more accurate and busier. I gave him the round. Gamboa up by 4 points with 3 rounds.
In which case, if the rest of the card right now, or a fight more and more comfortable as the Buckley, timing Gamboa's shots, more than been able to put some power on both the left hook.
Perez leading and stalking Gamboa. Good power jab to the stomach from Perez and back to the head.
Belly to the chest and to the head, mixing it up.
Be the shorter-armed fighter, and he's going to have to figure out a way to use those fist speed and the punching power to figure out a way to take advantage of it. Not just pot-shotting from long.
Touch, you get out, you win the fight for 4 2-minute rounds, and it's just not.
Guys, to indicate to me that Yuriorkis Gamboa still deserves.
Struggling right. I wouldn't write him off just yet. Gamboa has the good credit. He hasn't had that opportunity yet.
Right. I mean, the alternative, Jim, to being a confused fighter without an identity is this background. He might win tonight, though the fight is tightening. Basically a pot-shotting type fighter.
We're highly questionable round. Good thinking. Maybe it's just that Gamboa needs the best kind of opposition to rise to the occasion.
Very well could win this fight, but I'm talking more of the elite. He's been calling for those guys for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, we saw it featherweight. Rogers Matagua, who blew him out in 2 rounds. Orlando Salido on points.
Elected not to.
And Gamboa had never fought at lightweight.
That looked like a knockdown to me on a perfect left.
And probably aided by the wet sign in the middle of the ring.
It's
that
quite
the ref
possible.
Wiped down earlier.
And maybe that's why Perez isn't protesting the ruling.
That's a dangerous game to lean straight back when you're 5'5".
Working big. Speed to
Signage in the ring that we talked about earlier, but I also think Perez landed a shot, but I don't know if it was hard enough.
Walked into the jab, it doesn't matter.
The left foot, you see Gamboa also slip, so I think
Not getting punched in the face with that force.
that's
And
the
if
call
it
that
did
needs
slip,
to be made.
did he go down?
We've got round 12 of the scheduled 12. It were in the fight.
And these are the quirks of knockdown earlier, which was also not a super clean, wow, he went down from the punch kind of knockdown.
But it's Gamboa who got credit for a knockdown here tonight at the end of round 1. And
Could be the difference in this fight.
That could be up to a 4-point.
the fight goes the way. Saved their breath and their shouting.
Settles between fighters and Gamboa soaking in the winner's bracket.
Again, even if he loses the fight. I wouldn't mind seeing him against I
That'd
think it'd
be
be
a
an
good
interesting matchup.
Gamboa's power. He's knocking some rounds.
So the bell sounds, the fight.
Yuriorkis Gamboa.
As Perez threw. Perez connect percent.